Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 94 of the Video Games Ahoy Podcast. Yes, 94 episodes. I'm your host, Jonathan Radford, and today I'm joined by Daf Gape.
Hello there.
Ooh, the images are a little bit off at the moment. Let me fix that.
Chickpea with a sword.
Chickpea, you are just lovely. It's absolutely lovely.
17 months.
Let me edit this. Basically, I was just saying to Dad, moments before we started, that I just bought a new screen, and it's amazing. But now I have to adjust everything, and look at that. Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
This is how podcast needs to start. This is.
I agree.
This is the good stuff. Whilst I'm doing this, Dav, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Hey, folks, did you know you could find this podcast on YouTube, on Twitch, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Deezer, all sorts of places.
Yes.
Deezer, we love Deezer, we love iHeartRadio.
Yes.
So if you didn't catch this live, you can catch it live on twitch.tv/videogamesahoy. And if you don't want to catch it live because you're grumpy humans, then I've already just listed it all off. So just rewind because you're not watching it live.
And in that time, we fixed it. It looks lovely. Let me give more of Dav's face in because he's got a beautiful beard. I don't know if anyone's seeing this right now.
Oh,
there we go.
Oh, jeez, the follow.
Ding, 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 ding. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Dav, as well. He is right. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I imagine everything was 100% correct. And we can just move on to the news stories. So basically, we missed last week. Actually, before we move on, it is episode 94.
It is.
6 episodes to go until we hit grand 100. We haven't decided what we're going to do for the 100th episode yet. So if you have any ideas, then tell us. What
let us know.
Like to see?
Some ideas we were spitballing was maybe a live Hall of Fame episode because we've not done one of those in a hot second. A bumper episode. We're thinking of maybe doing maybe a little multiplayer Monday kind of vibe.
That could be good.
All of the above, and then just never stream again for the rest of our lives.
I think the people would appreciate that one.
One less weekly obligation to listen to.
But we will have some thoughts. I think we'll probably end up doing one of or many of the things that Dav has just suggested. If you do have anything you think we should do, then tell us.
Yes, that list is not exhaustive. If you've got any other ideas, then slide into our DMs or email us at videogamesahoy@gmail.com.
I mean, even if you just want us to pretend like it's no big deal, and we'll just carry on like normal, and maybe even be a shorter version. It'll just be like,
what if we skip 100 and just go straight to 101?
101. I mean, I think that's like meta in a way. I think it's just like we're just playing with the audience a little bit, like ooh, I don't know. We'll play with things. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we'll even break the fourth wall and talk to the audience.
Exactly. We'll talk to the audience. Oh, audience. All right, let's talk about some news. Right, so some of these stories are from last week, but I feel like some of them we actually need to talk about because they're actually quite big stories. And I think the biggest one to start off with, there's a couple to do with Microsoft. Microsoft had a weird week. They had some good news and some less good news. We'll start off with the less good news, and that is that they've officially delayed the release of both Starfield and Redfall to the year 2023. This is always conflicted with postponements because if it's to do with them feeling like they're not ready, they haven't got enough time, then I don't want crunch. I can wait. No. We can always wait. We can always wait. But at the same time, it's really disappointing, and I think it's disappointing from Microsoft's perspective as well because this year looks particularly barren now.
Yes, it does.
There isn't much, I'll be honest. Although, not so much there isn't much. They will have loads of great things. I imagine they'll go into overdrive with Game Pass. They'll get some third-party stuff on there. I imagine they'll do something special, but they kind of
And they're announcing a bunch of stuff in 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully there's some cool stuff there. The thing is, there might be some stuff like Nintendo does it all the time that we don't know about and that's coming out. It always feels less so with Sony and Microsoft. They like to tell us 10 years in advance, whereas...
Especially Sony, oh my god.
Yeah, we don't... Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah. Apparently,
Last Guardian.
Yeah. So I'd like to think we've got something coming from Microsoft, but it does look like this year is unfortunately a little bit less.
I reckon Forza is probably going to come out.
Forza's a good shout.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff just feels years off anyway.
Yeah.
Perfect Dark, Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, Hellblade 2. I mean, I'd love to see some Hellblade 2, but also don't rush that game.
I think another bit of issue there as well was Stalker 2. That was another game that was going to be released this year, but obviously that game was being made in Ukraine, and they've only just been able to restart development on that. So, obviously that's awful for completely separate and tragic circumstances. But yeah, it's just really. It feels, I don't know, we'd be interested to see what Microsoft does. Like you said, Dav, I think they could paint a prettier picture in about 3 weeks' time. Well, that's not even 3 weeks, it's like 2 weeks, isn't it? What is it? What did you say, 13th, 12th, something like that?
12th, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, about 3 weeks, 3 weeks. Okay. But yeah, it's not necessarily the best news for people who are looking forward to this. Which one were you looking forward to more, Starfield or Redfall?
Starfield.
I think I was very, I'll be honest, I was very excited for Starfield. I genuinely, I'm looking at the second half of the year, and I'm starting to think to myself that it's going to be a Nintendo kind of year to end for me, because as soon as like Mario Strikers comes out, there's just game after game after game after game after game.
For sure.
Zelda Chronicles in July, like.
What have Sony got?
God of War, potentially. That's still set for this year, and they have not changed their narrative with regards to that. They've still said they're expecting it to release this year. So yeah, it's a weird one. I do think this might mean Elden Ring kind of has everything sewn up because so many games have fallen out this year. What did fall out of this year? We've had Starfield now, Redfall, Breath of the Wild 2.
Stalker 2.
Stalker 2, yeah.
Probably God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, potentially that as well. Oh, God. I mean, this could be the year that 2020 kind of screwed up. Like, a lot of people, a lot of developers I've been reading about recently have said this is the year that might have screwed up things more than actually 2020, 2021, because a lot of those games would have been games that were kind of finishing up.
Yeah.
Whereas this would have been the time when people were in the middle of development, and now they're like, shit, we lost like 4 to 6 months, whatever. But yeah, let's see. 3 weeks, we'll find out more. We're gonna move on to Nintendo really quickly. Actually, you know, I've got like 3 different Microsoft stories, so I'll skip a few and then I'll come back. Let's skip a few. Okay. Well, let's continue with the. I guess they get progressively less bad. So the second story is about Marvel and Microsoft. And Dav, you made a really good point about this earlier. About it's probably a good thing they didn't do it, because at the time Microsoft were a little bit of a shambles, whereas now I'd like to see what they could do with it. But basically, Marvel, the head of Marvel Games revealed that Xbox turned down the opportunity to make licensed games shortly after they left Activision. And it's really funny because in the exact kind of way that you think Activision would be really arrogant and sassy about Marvel saying, we think your games aren't very good, we're going to find someone better to make them, it's exactly what Activision did. They were literally just like, oh yeah, go on, I dare you to find someone better, go on. And then obviously they found Sony and they made Spider-Man, which won loads of awards. And yeah,
now they've got Spider-Man Miles Morales, they've got Wolverine on the way.
Yeah.
They gave Guardians of the Galaxy to Square Enix.
Yeah,
they smashed that out the park.
Yeah, but you made, like, Dav, you made a really good point earlier. Like I said, that 2014, this conversation happened, or conversations were happening, and Microsoft were not in a massively great position back then.
It's such a different Microsoft to what we have now. Like, they were buying Minecraft in 2014.
Yeah.
How mad is that? That was only 8 years ago
that
Minecraft became an Xbox thing. They bought the Gears of War IP from Epic.
Yeah.
And then Phil Spencer took over in 2014.
Yeah.
They were still working on HoloLens.
God.
They're not the people that I wanted in charge of a Marvel game.
And it's mad as well, because like when we think back to Microsoft in 2014, it wasn't. I mean, it was only about a year after the disastrous like Xbox One launch, which was disastrous, as I've just said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like everything about that launch was pretty bad, particularly that E3, which genuinely convinced me to buy a PS4. I remember watching it and thinking, "Wow, when's PS4 coming out?" But yeah, it's just interesting. It's weird when you look back and go, to be honest, this is just a story that came out today, and it's interesting to think about what Microsoft would have done. Because, to be fair, Microsoft said, I think the thing they said was they wanted to focus more on their own IP and creating their own games, which is fair enough. I mean, as the generation turned out, I mean, they didn't actually make that many of their original first-party games. It was a very, very, I don't know. The Xbox One was a weird generation. It was a weird time. But yeah, let's move on to some better news, and that is that the Xbox Series S outsold PlayStation 5 in Japan last week, according to new sales data, which, if you are aware, the Xbox does not do well in Japan. Here's how bad the Xbox One did in Japan, okay?
Oh no, okay. Here we go.
So Dal, I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you the consoles, and you're gonna tell me how much you think the console sold in Japan. Okay.
Oh, you have to give me one as a
ballpark. Okay, I'll give you a ballpark. The original Xbox is what I'll give you. Okay.
Okay.
The original Xbox sold 472,992. Now, bear in mind, this came out quite late in the generation. It was an American company. It was brand new, and at that time, the PS2 was a thing. So, like, in that context, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like, Japan was always going to be the hardest market to break into.
Yeah.
What do you think the Xbox 360 did?
Now I think they went hard on Japan. They brought out Blue Dragon, Eternal Sonata, Tales of Symphonia, I think was an Xbox 360 game. So I'm going to say up from 500,000. I'm going to say 1 million.
It's actually more. It was 1.6 million.
Wow.
1.6 million, which again, considering all the things we said before, was pretty good. It's not massively kicked off in Japan. How much do you think the Xbox One sold?
Oh, good. Okay. I'm going to guess probably more than the original Xbox because of the higher install base.
Okay.
The higher consumer market, I guess. Obviously less than 360. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, the original one was 472,000.
I'm going to say 950,000.
Okay, it sold 114,000 units. That is pretty bad.
That's insane.
But to give you, this is why the topic we're talking about is Xbox doing better in Japan. The reason why Xbox Series S has been out for 18 months and it's already sold more than the Xbox One. It's just over 140,000, which again isn't much, but obviously the last 18 months has been a very different landscape when it comes to the video game industry, which didn't really affect the Xbox One. Let's be honest, COVID, chip shortages, all those kinds of things. I think
that is the market. Well, it's surprising as well because I think a lot of their sort of stuff they're doing on mobile and like cloud streaming stuff is an attempt to hit those markets, like China, Japan, Australia, those kind of markets where it's either a lot of it is on the go, a lot of handheld mobile gaming, or it's just games are so damn expensive in those countries. So it's actually impressive that they are managing to sell consoles even with the shortage. And the reliance, the leaning into the cloud gaming and the Game Pass and all sorts.
The Series S is gonna do well. Yeah, the Series S is gonna do really well. And it wouldn't surprise me if Xbox Series X and S got over 1 million. I think it'll either be the second best selling or the best selling Xbox console in Japan, which is good.
I think we're going to see one of two things with consoles that we've got at the moment is either really long lifespans because of the pandemic and because of the chip shortages, or if the chip shortages go on for years, they'll look at how can we flip this. And I mean, maybe there are no other kinds of chips you can use. I don't know, but maybe they have to look at somehow developing different hardware that wouldn't have a shortage. But I think what we're seeing is a console generation is probably going to last at least 10 years.
I can't remember. I can't remember the specifics. I could be wrong, but I do remember listening to a podcast with Jeff Grubb where he was talking about the chip shortages and why there is chip shortages. And apparently it's because there's one factory in the world that makes them, and it's in Taiwan, I believe. And they make all of the chips for all of the things that you need to have chips, and it's a very specific factory that makes specific chips. And that's one of the issues, is because everyone's trying to get chips as well, apparently. We're not talking about Doritos, by the way, if you've just come on board. I kind of wish we were, because I love Doritos. I haven't had Doritos in years. Anyway, slightly back on topic. Xbox Series X and S beat the PS5 sales last week in Japan, which is kind of insane.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the worst, one of the worst weeks that the PlayStation's ever had in Japan as well. It's shocking.
Their profits went down this year, didn't they?
Man, they're not selling well in Japan at all. I was looking at the sales earlier, and I don't think they've done that much at all. Like, and to give context as well, I mean, I know this is no surprise because we've mentioned the Switch sales, and we'll talk about Switch sales in a little bit. I think the Switch is now the third best-selling console of all time in Japan, and I can't remember how many it's done exactly. I think it's like 25 million it's done just in Japan alone. Which is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like, it's like there's 130 million people that live in Japan, which means that 1 in every 5 people owns potentially 1 in every 5 people in Japan owns a Switch. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that's mad. Bonkers. It's only been 5 years.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, good news for Microsoft in that sense. And like I said, we're excited. We are very excited. We're probably going to stream it because I think it's a Sunday, so we'll definitely be off. We're going to stream their event, the showcase, in about 3 weeks' time. So. Yeah, I would say.
And maybe even the Summer Game Fest showcase as well.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Good old
Same weekend.
Jeffrey Keighley.
Right,
cool. Let's come on to. I think we've got like 2 more stories left. The next one is about Nintendo. Like I said, their sales. Nintendo said global lifetime sales of the Switch has reached 107.6 million units overall. While the console is closing in on PS4's lifetime shipments of 170 million, in the US, it has now surpassed sales of Sony's last-gen console, the PS4. So the Switch has now officially sold more consoles than the PS4 in the US, which feels like kind of a big deal. It's apparently, what is it, the 4th highest... Switch is now the 6th highest unit-selling game platform and the 4th highest unit-selling console, behind only PS2, Xbox 360, and the Wii.
And then what are the other two, like DS and
I imagine DS would have been one of them. Yeah, I haven't got the other 2 in front of me. I imagine DS and Game Boy would have been them. But Dav, genuine question: what do you think the Switch will not overtake, or do you think it'll overtake everything to be the best-selling console of all time?
You mean the numbers?
I don't have the numbers in front of me. I have them in my head though. So, like I said, the PS5 is around 117 million units across the world. Switch is on PS4. Then will be the Game Boy, which is around the same mark. I think it's about 115. So once it's overtaken the PS4, it'll overtake the Game Boy.
Overtaking those two, absolutely.
Then the last 2 will be the DS and the PS2, and I believe they're both in the 150 million mark.
So they need to make another 35 million sales.
Yeah, so these sales are... these sales are from...
I think they can do that in 3 years.
Yeah, these sales are from last month, but they haven't included the last 2 months, if that makes sense. So they're probably over 110 million by now, is what I would assume. So
I think they can do that in
million?
3 or 4 years. I can see them either keeping the Switches that we have now on the market, or even another borderline upgrade.
Yep.
Maybe just, the same old Switch, but with new Joy-Cons, or with more memory, or, or better kickstand or something,
Yeah. No, I think it's a good shout. I am coming around to the idea that I think it's going to become the best-selling console of all time. I've always kind of erred on the side of caution, because 150 million units, like the PS2 and the DS, they were both phenomenal successes, and Switch isn't slowing down. Like it slowed down a little bit last year, but again, because this is huge. This is all happening with a huge chip shortage as well. Which
the thing with the DS,
it's insane.
The thing with the DS, there were so many iterations. People were buying every iteration as they came out. So every person that owned a DS probably owned about 5 in their lifetime.
Yeah.
Whereas people aren't buying more than 2 Switches at all. Like I've got day 1 Switch.
Me too.
And I mean, it's loud sometimes, but it still runs pretty well for what it does.
Yeah,
I've got no need to upgrade. And like the OLED wasn't a big enough upgrade to tempt me. If there was a Switch Pro, which probably isn't going to happen, really, doesn't look like it is.
2.
Yeah, But we'll see. Maybe they'll hold off the Switch 2 branding to be the number one all time.
And it's interesting as well because we mentioned this previously before that the DS and the PS2 did things outside of gaming which were very unusual for the time. I know my parents bought a PS2 to have it as a DVD player, and I know some people that I know bought DSs because it was essentially a smartphone before smartphones were a thing. So
well, when a PS2 came out, it was one of the cheapest DVD players in the market.
Yeah, it genuinely was. It was amazing. My parents never bought a DVD player. Once we had the PS2, it was like, well, just bring that downstairs. So it's like, okay. So that was the thing. Like, we get this, so we could use it. It's like, yeah, okay. And I imagine there were millions of people who did that.
You get a PS2, your PS2 Slim.
Yeah,
that little PS2 Slim is so good.
I've got my PS2 Slim around here. It's so thin.
So small.
It's so slim. It is a PS2 Slim in everything. It's very, very slim. Is what I'm saying. It's very slim. Okay, final little bit of news, and this is one of the most intriguing things. Electronic Arts is claiming to be pursuing a merger or a sale. In the wake of recent M&A activity in the games industry, such as Microsoft's $68.7 billion acquisition of Activision. The three companies it's gone to is Disney, Apple, and Amazon. I don't know which. I guess Disney. I don't want Apple or Amazon to really own EA. But, I mean, are Disney really any better? But then again, are any companies really any better at the end of the day?
I mean, if Google bought it, then Stadia could actually be irrelevant one day.
Yeah.
Amazon, it's tricky just because they're such a massive corporation, but they are getting into the games market. You know, they have games already out there, and if they were to buy EA, they would have untold power, and they'd instantly become. If you buy EA, you become as big as EA.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a guaranteed way to get to the top of the video games industry, really, because EA are absolutely huge. I do wonder how much they're valued at compared to Activision, because I do wonder which. There was a thing recently; they're about the same, but I'm fairly sure Activision was more. Although I don't. Yeah,
I think I think EA are probably happy not selling. But because of the market and what it's like at the moment, they're like, right, let's see what we can get.
Yeah.
Let's see if someone can give us an offer we can't refuse.
Exactly. Strike while on top.
I'm thinking like 100 billion, right?
Yeah.
But you don't even have FIFA anymore.
No, that's true.
I think that honestly, that knocks a good 10 billion off your price.
I wonder with FIFA though. I mean, like they're pretty convinced that they're going to be able to have like FIFA without the name. Just with literally the same game, but just a different. Oh, also, can we just for a second, the name of the new game is shit.
EA Sports FC.
It's terrible. It's like, what were they thinking?
Why didn't they call it EA Sports Football?
I know. Why? Oh, I don't.
Why haven't you got football or soccer in the name? You could just have EA Sports Football everywhere, and then in America, EA Sports Soccer.
Yeah, because it's Madden NFL for the NFL, right? That's the big one.
NHL
Live. I guess it's easy with America because they're specifically about two sports that are very specific and have a very specific league. Like, so I guess it would be like the Premier, like EA Premiership, and just having the Premiership. But it's still weird. EA Sports FC. Like, did they not take more than a second to think what a name could do for them?
I think the day when EA actually consider doing something before they do it is a day that's way ahead in the future.
I tell you what's interesting though. We're going slightly off topic, but it obviously is related to this. I saw obviously this is just like speculation. There is no rumor or anything, but like there was a quote from someone at Take-Two that said how much they respect the FIFA brand, and I was like, ooh.
Oh, well, yeah, they're the obvious guys, right? 2K?
Yeah, that would make sense because...
FIFA 2K 23 or 24, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
Because there's still going to be a FIFA 23 this year.
Yes. I think it's next year. But, yeah, FIFA still want to make games, like. That's the thing. So that just means there's going to be another football game.
They came out and said, whoever makes this FIFA game, it's going to be the best football game on the market.
Yes.
And it's like, you can't possibly know that.
I also really enjoyed how just completely disconnected they are from the realities of making video games. So just like, yes, it's just going to be amazing. We're probably going to make it ourselves. Like that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting the people at FIFA to try their hand at making a video game and it going epically wrong. And I want to play that game so much. I just want to play that game. But actually, do you think that Take-Two will take over the FIFA brand?
Yes.
I think that's a pretty nailed on.
Which is the Embracer Group.
It is the Embracer Group. And Zynga now, isn't it? They just merged as well. I think like this week.
Oh yeah.
They've just merged. So that's another thing. That's another story. But yeah, going back to the original story, EA want to be bought, want to merge with someone. They're trying their hand with Disney, Apple, and Amazon. You tell us who you prefer. Would you like to see? Would you like to see Nintendo by EA? I would. That would be hilarious.
Nintendo. Have you seen the reviews that IGN put out for the FIFA on the Switch?
Oh yes, they're amazing.
Yeah, 2 out of 10 every year.
Yeah, because and it's always like 2 out of 10 because they gave it 2 out of 10 last year and they've done nothing. They've done absolutely nothing. Yeah, it's terrible. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the end of our news. We're now going to go on to games we've been playing. Dav, do you want me to go first, or would you like to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I finished a game called Lake.
Okay.
It's on Game Pass. Whoa, okay. Flying pens.
Throwing pens.
It's on Game Pass. Of course, Game Pass.
Yep.
And you play a woman who works for some tech startup company in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And her parents go on holiday. So you go back to your family home in Oregon and you pick up his mail delivery round for 2 weeks. So I
don't know why. I just thought like mail delivery around as if like she was delivering like men. Just here you go. This is your new home. Sorry.
Chippendales and so you just spend 2 in-game weeks just going around meeting all the locals, like giving their parcels and stuff. And it's where you grew up, so you're like rekindling old friendships and stuff. And maybe there's a couple of possible romance options. Mm-hmm. And then after those 2 weeks, you get a choice. It's not a spoiler, really. You get a choice of, do I stay here? Do I go back to work? Or do I do something else? And like, based on what romance options, what friendship choices you make, will obviously influence you a little bit mechanically. Maybe, I'm not sure if you get less options if you don't interact with some characters, but it's more just sort of like, how would you feel your character, what do you feel your character would do? It's not oh, well, because your intellect level is an 87 or higher, you can't unlock this dialogue option. It's like, no, like, just like have a nice conversation with this character and just like, you can engage with whatever characters and storylines you want to, and you can. So I didn't engage with all of them because there's a couple of characters in there that were really annoying, but like intentionally annoying. That was very good. And one of them just like full out swore at me. What? There was like no swear words in the entire game. And then this character just swore at me, and I was like, "Dude, you're angry because I delivered something to you while you were playing Space Invaders instead of doing your work." So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm still angry at him. And really cool Easter eggs in there. Like there's one where you meet. I think I mentioned this on the podcast before. You meet Mackenzie Crook's character from Detectorists.
Oh yeah.
In the game, and he's playing the character in the game as well. And also, you go and deliver this box of what turned out to be ink ribbons to this cabin where a guy is writing a story on a typewriter about being in a cabin by a lake and about his wife and Alan Wake, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other Easter eggs that flew over my head.
Is that's why it's called Lake?
Well, yeah, with Sam Lake.
Alan Wake.
Yeah. But yeah, it's very, very cool. Really nice game. Didn't take too long to complete. And it was really lovely. And I've just started, I was just streaming, a game called Mosaic.
I was wondering what you're playing because that looked freaky in the best kind of way.
Yeah, it's definitely freaky in the best way. It's this kind of dystopian, cynical look on the overworked, under-rested culture that we have these days of like, you get up, you commute, you work, you get home, you're too tired to do anything because you've been working all day, you go to bed, you wake up, go commute, go to work.
Get to the weekend and realize you're too tired to do anything, but you have to.
Exactly, yeah. But when you brush your teeth in the morning, you find there's a goldfish in your sink, and they're sentient. They talk to you, and they hop into your little breast pocket and go with you on your commute. And then you find through these different avenues these sort of musicians and this little splash of color in this really bleak world. And then you're sort of sent through these sort of hallucinogenic visions, and it all seems to be trying to, in quite an obvious way, sort of free you from this hamster wheel of existence, you know? And it doesn't feel like it's obvious what it's doing at every point, but it doesn't feel like it's hammering you over the head like, you should listen to what our theory is on how to be happy. It's just like this is obvious, let's just go with it, let's like follow this journey. And there are some fun apps you can get on your phone. Like there's one where you can like buy and sell like Blip coin instead of Bitcoin. And then there's a Tinder, like a dating app called Love, and you just click yes or no, and all the women have the exact same face, and you just got their face, their name, and their age. So I'm just like yes. And there's another one, it's your banking app, and you're always in debt. And the other one is a game called Blip Blop. Now every trophy in this game only refers to this game Blip Blop on the character's phone. So like everything you can achieve is all in the phone, and the phone is you click a button, which is you make a blop, and that blop earns you a blip.
Blop
and that's it.
Blip it.
Exactly. So like, and you can like, you earn enough blips, you can pay to like get double blops, triple blops, quadruple blops, or whatever when you click blop, and then you can get a little vault, and then you can get it so it auto blops for you while you're blopping, and then you can level up, but the leveling up is meaningless. It just means that you can prestige when you're like level 100.
Is that what you were playing at the end when I caught your stream?
No, so that seems to be like his job.
Okay, right, okay. That was his job.
So like the phone app is literally you're just clicking a button.
Oh, right.
Just mashing X as much as you can. But it's so funny because all the trophies in the game are attached to this phone app in the game. It's like, trophies are meaningless. Trophies are meaningless. This is a false sense of achievement that you're getting. But it's like it's so lovingly like crafted. So you're like, oh, a trophy. Yeah. Oh, I should keep doing this. And it's like, oh wait, that's the exact point they're trying to make about these kind of games that you get on your phones. Like you do just stand in a commute, like, I'm just gonna get my axe guy to attack their city. Where's my stop? I missed my stop because I was axe guying the city. It's really cool. I'm not sure if there's much more to the game in terms of how much is left. Because I had a look at the checkpoints and there was only one that was locked. I don't know if that's just because that's the one I was doing then, but if that is the case, it's not much longer than 2 hours.
Was it Mosaic you said it was called?
Mosaic, yes. And I've looked, and the Blip Blop game is actually on phones.
Really?
You can actually download the Blip Blop app.
That's amazing.
So, yeah. But yeah, that's me. A couple of indies.
It's really interesting because like I think you probably play the most indies of anyone I know, which is I think it's funny because like I respect that in a sense that you're always willing to give indies a try. So it's quite nice to hear like you playing just a random game that I've never heard of before. Because I'm like, that actually sounds really cool. That actually sounds really nice. I'm trying to go back and like, I think, I'll be honest, I think there's always been a part of me that's always like, oh my god, new graphics, I want to play the new game with lovely big graphics because it's lovely and big and graphic-y. And I need to stop that because I thought so many of my favorite games are not really graphically intensive. In fact, there's a part of me that feels like whenever I do play a big game with loads of graphics, I'm always more critical of it because it feels like they focused more on that than other things, which tends to be the case a lot of the time. But that's cool, man. Mosaic. I'm gonna look, even if I don't play. I'm gonna look into that. I like. It's
a kooky one for sure.
You blip when you should have blopped.
No, you always blop and you always get blips. There's no other way around it.
Awesome. Anything else?
No, just been playing some Destiny 2 as well, which is nice.
Can you please recount the story of your WWE 2K22 journey, please?
Yes. So I bought WWE 2K22
Can we start a new segment called Dav's Rant?
Dav's Rant. Yeah. I bought WWE 2K22. I thought, you know what? Me and Jonny, we're going to play the hell out of this multiplayer online. And I thought, right, let's try this my GM mode.
Oh god.
And it's very basic, but it's like just basic enough that it's a monotonous joy, like Blip, Blop.
Yeah.
That you can just go through each week. You can develop rivalries and the different. You only get like 4 different choices of types of match. It's really rubbish. But I got 5 weeks in, after 2 hours in playing the game, five in-game weeks, and it hard crashed to the home screen of my Xbox. And I went, interesting. Went back into the game, save corrupted. Every time I tried to load it, hard crashed to the home screen of my Xbox. I thought, great, fine, whatever. No, it's fine. So I left it for a day or two, and then made a new save. And you can do it up to 50 weeks, 50. And so I thought, right, okay, it's going to be a one-off, it's fine. So I carried on, and I was like, if it happens, whatever, sure. And we get 5 weeks in, and it's fine. 10, 15, 20, 25. Week 45 of 50. Oh, my God. And it hard crashes on me again. And I instantly went to eBay, took a picture of the game, popped it on there. I bought it for 35, sold it for 33, so I'm pretty happy with that.
That is pretty good going, to be fair.
And for 45 weeks of the in-game thing, I'd have paid £2. I'd have paid £2 to do that. Sure.
Yeah. You got £2 worth of entertainment out of it, I'd say. I mean, the fact you bought it for £35 in the first place is pretty impressive. Like, it was going for 60, it's still going for 60 in loads of places. That's really impressive.
I got it from the website that's the future owner of EA Sports.
There we go. Is it Disney by any chance?
What have you been playing?
Funny, the reason why I brought up games with less graphically intensive graphics, I guess, I've been playing Minish Cap because so basically last week Rosie was away the whole weekend. She was in Leeds doing this amazing conference where she was being an awesome businesswoman, and I was.
That's a job title, isn't it?
That is literally businesswoman, please. It's just that's her name. Just businesswoman, please. That's what I am. But yeah, so she was away, and whilst she was away, the mice will play. And funny, I should say mice because in Minish Cap you shrink down to tiny little mouse-sized. It was. And do you know what? The reason why I kind of did it was I bought Minish Cap a while ago, but I'd actually bought because the Wii U store is starting to close down, so I'm trying to grab all the Nintendo games that I haven't got, mainly all the Zelda games, because there's about 5. There's about 3 or 4 Zelda games that you can't get on the Switch, and they're all on the Wii U, and they're all like £8. So I just bought them all. So I'm slowly making my way through them. Minish Cap was one of them. The next one's going to be Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, I think, the other two. The DS games, basically. Basically, I played Phantom Hourglass for about 5 minutes, and I hate it. Like, I'm going to complete it because I want to be able to complete most of the Zeldas. But I hate the movement. Anyway, that's for a different time. I'll probably complete that at some point in the next couple of weeks. Minish Cap.
Dragon following the stylus.
Oh, it's so bad. I don't like. Honestly, if they implemented a way where you can just play it on controls like normal, I imagine they won't, because I imagine so much of the game is focused around that. But still, it's really annoying, and I don't like it. Anyway, Minish Cap. It's really good. Like, genuinely, it's really good. I've never played it before, and it's a shame that I waited so long. And what was really nice about it as well is that I was playing it, and after, like, you go, oh my god, yeah, this looks like a Game Boy Advance game. And then after about 10 minutes, I'm like, Game Boy Advance games have this weird charm that some games, like, because they're almost like the bridging the gap between, like,
it looks great.
Yeah, like SNES, like the SNES or the SNES, however you want to call it. Like, it's got better graphics than the SNES or the SNES, like I said. But then it's not quite got the graphics like the PlayStation 1. So it's like kind of like it has that classic 32-bit graphics, but then it has like little, like, it has flourishes that like the SNES games don't have. And then when you watch,
the colors are beautiful.
Like, honestly, man, I played Minish Cap all weekend, and I completed it as well. And it was just genuinely so much fun. Also, it's not like I played the game, and it reminds me how often when you don't know a Zelda game, sometimes they can be frustratingly difficult. With how, like not in a like difficult, not in a like I'm losing to all these people. It's just they'll be like, oh yeah, and now you need this thing.
And where do I get it?
And nothing else. You don't get anything else. Not like you got to go to this
Link's
place.
Awakening. Link's Awakening was so bad for that.
To be honest, I'm at the age where I'm just like, I haven't got the time to spend like going through. So every time I got stuck, which is a couple of times, I was just like, I'm just going to check the walkthrough. I'm going to check a guide because I don't have time. And I have no shame. I don't care if you judge me for using a walkthrough. I don't have enough time to be judged. So yeah, every now and then I'd like check the guide and be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense, but I never would have got there. Like, no, I would have been smashing things for ages, just going around slamming my sword. But it does present a different, like, maybe about 20 years ago, I would have spent the time to go over that. But it's interesting how games have moved on since then. That I don't want to say hand holding, because a lot of the time it's like people don't have time to spend finding those things. It's like I just like knowing here's the direction I gotta go in, because I don't know if you want. Anyway, my point being, Minish Cap's really good, and I think it might be one of my favorite top-down Zelda games. But then again, I've only played 4 of them, and I think they're all amazing. Actually, they're all amazing. Yeah, the only ones I'm not looking forward to playing are the DS ones. But like, and I think they will be my least favorite, purely down to the controls. Because they look really nice, but controls.
Chickpea's with you, by the way. Chickpea says, no shame in using a walkthrough. I don't remember the last time I didn't look something up.
I think sometimes like there's this shame feeling for a lot of people, because like obviously you go online and say you use the walkthrough, people are like, oh.
All the clues are in the game. If you just look hard enough, you'll find them. It's like, no, that's bad game design.
I don't have the time. I don't have the time, and I'm like, it's one of those things where if I did have the time, it'd be fine. And weirdly, like with like something like Metroid Dread, which I loved, by the way, it was one of my favorite games of last year. There were moments where I didn't know what to do, but I never actually needed to walk through, which is weird. It was just like, I'm in this area. What the hell am I doing? I'm just going to shoot everything, and eventually I'd shoot the right thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that you talk about quite a lot. And Zach, actually, to be fair, mentions it quite a lot as well. I probably had as much fun playing that Minish Cap, which was only about 15 hours long, as I did playing any other game this year. In the sense that, like, for instance, when I was playing Horizon Forbidden West, I started getting a bit bored towards the end because it's just so long and it's repetitive and it's fine, but it was nice to play a game that was 15 hours long, and it was just like a little story and a little adventure, and off you go. And that was it. And I loved it. I loved it so much, in fact, that I went away and learned how to make a little Zelda game for myself, and I spent like 3 hours on Sunday making my own Zelda game for Rosie, which she loved, by the way. And that was it. That was my Sunday.
Hey, good news. Lake is about 4 hours, 4.5, 5 hours. Mosaic is about 3 hours.
That's pretty good.
So
yeah, I think the older I've got, the less likely I am to be able to play games that are like over 50 hours long. I think unless it's on the Switch, it genuinely, like, the Switch is the only console. That's why I put 130 hours into The Witcher 3, because I had the Switch and I was just playing it on the bus and the tube and everywhere. Whereas I just can't do it at home. Just can't do it anymore. Too many things. As Dav mentioned earlier, by playing his game, Mosaic, we're all busy, we're all tired, and now it's time to go home.
Go home and play Blip, Blop.
Yep. I think that's it, Dav. I think we should call it there. Unless you have anything else to add.
Blip, Blop, don't stop.
Well, that's the song. That's the title of the show. Blip, Blop, don't stop. Perfect, because I did not have one until then. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Dav, did you want to raid?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we do a little raid. Well, as you're raiding, I'll say goodbye to everyone. That is the end of episode 94. As I said earlier, we have the 100th episode coming up soon. If you have ideas, please tell us, because we are running out of ideas. But otherwise, we're very excited. It's just been really lovely. I'm so glad we did this. Even if we've missed a couple recently because we're all busy boys, it's been really lovely. We'll get to 100 soon, and then we'll go from there, because we got lots of fun things planned, like episode 101 and 102. Awesome. Thanks, Dab. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm going to go look at Mosaic now and see what that's all about. Have a lovely time of the evening, everyone else, and we'll see you again soon.
Tatty, bye.
Bye.